Against the Current is sponsored in part by ServPro of Pulaski and Laurel counties. When fire or water damage takes over your life, trust the team in green at ServPro to help you make it like it never even happened. They provide 24/7 service when you need it most. Give the local office a call at 606-877-2160 or online at servpro-pulaski-laurel-counties.com. Franchises are independently owned and operated. So today I'm joined by Derek Phillips, founder and president of Deco Architects. Derek is originally from Monticello and still lives there with his wife, Jessica, and their 4 boys. My wife and I are having her 3rd next month, so I'm catching up to you there.
All right, good. Keep going.
Yeah. Got any advice yet to keep going? I don't know about that.
My wife's the professional. I just help her carry things. And,
there you go.
Does all the thinking part of raising children.
I like that. Derek graduated from the University of Kentucky in 2008 undergrad. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And yes. Earned his Master of Architecture from UK also in 2010. Derek began his career in building construction by helping his grandfather build decks and homes during the summer breaks around age 12. I'm sure you made minimum wage during that, right?
If that, I think I worked for like $20. So
sounds about right. I remember those days. He followed up on that experience with successful stints at Conley Bottom Resort, the marina there, Davis H. Elliott Electrical Contractors, and Central Kentucky Design, an architecture firm. In graduate school, Derek was granted an opportunity to travel to Norway and Belgium to learn under some of the premier architects in the world of Space Group and JDS Architects, respectively. Derek launched Deco Architects in June of 2012. I'll be honest, one thing I already learned from you just doing a little bit of research is that opportunity you had to go to Norway and Belgium. That had to have been just absolutely life-changing, awesome. Just about.
Yeah. And the waffles in Belgium really are that good. They're incredible.
Yeah, normally I have a rapid fire question and I ask waffle or pancakes, but since we have so many others up here, I deviated from that a little bit. Right. But now you got me kind of hungry for breakfast again.
Yeah, absolutely. They were incredible. I've never recaptured that waffle magic as what they had over there. It was another level.
You have to reach out to your contacts, see if you can find their secret ingredients over there.
I know.
So like I mentioned, we'll do kind of a rapid fire here. And so these next few questions, they're going to get the creative juices going. You could either gain significant credibility with all of our thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners, or they may just write you off completely. So with that being said, the first question, and then we'll dive into the better questions here. Favorite color?
Blue.
Got to be UK blue, right?
Absolutely. As I've gotten older, it's like saturated or desaturated a little bit. I'm more in the navies now, but it's always been blue my entire life.
I like it. Favorite Ninja Turtle?
Leonardo. And he's blue.
Because he's blue. Okay. I was always
when you're a kid, you just like the one based on their color. And then he also had the sword. So I felt like that's the coolest weapon. And then, I don't know, you grow to love him for being a leader and the balanced turtle.
See, mine was always a little bit of bias just because of Michelangelo's love for pizza.
Right.
So that's who I'm most associated with was that mark there.
I respect it.
When I was, I think 4 or 5, it's one of my first Halloween trick-or-treating memories. My mom made, my brother and I sewn everything like Ninja Turtle costumes. And I remember, that's one thing I remember is walking through subdivisions and I fully believed I was a Ninja Turtle.
That's awesome. I have a similar story. Yeah, my mom made ours out of poster board, and she did the front shell and the back shell, each a piece of poster board, and then did yarn between. So
that's awesome.
Put it over yourself. Like you see people doing those like advertisements.
Oh yeah.
And put it over yourself, and you had the shell, and it was incredible.
Were you like me? You were walking around trick-or-treating just wishing somebody would break a law. That way you could go full Ninja Turtle on them?
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I was ready for.
Yeah.
So, and this may follow in line with your favorite Ninja Turtle, but which Ninja Turtle would most likely be an architect?
You would like to think Leo, but honestly, I think a lot of us are Raph.
Okay.
It's a stressful profession, and so you tend to get hot-headed, and that's you have to control it. So, but I try to stay on the Leo course when possible.
Like that. Yeah, I'm like you. I would have gone Leo, but I see what you mean there. Which Ninja Turtle is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and why?
This is just going to be a tirade on Leonardo, I think. I think he's the greatest turtle. So Michelangelo has a personality. Raph was the best fighter. Donatello was a smart one, but those are all in compartments. Leo was everything. He was balanced.
He's a total package.
Total package.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
We'll deviate a little bit from that now. What is your go-to Chipotle order?
So I am old school Chipotle. I discovered it in undergrad. We went to an event for all the new freshmen, and they gave us a coupon for a free burrito. And that was the best investment Chipotle ever made. It was brilliant. They made thousands of dollars off of me based on that one burrito. So I don't get into any of the new stuff. They had to put out queso to, keep the youth coming. And they did guacamole a few years ago. I don't need any of that. I just want the old fashioned chicken burrito. I like to cheat and have fajitas put on it. You have to ask for that.
Okay. I like this.
I go white rice because back in the day, they didn't have brown rice. Everybody was okay with a little bleach back in 04, 05.
It made us who we are today, right?
Absolutely. And then it's mild salsa, sour cream and cheese. And that's done. It's perfect.
See, this is kind of like that Starbucks secret menu you hear of. It's the Chipotle secret menu right here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My wife and I saw a commercial the other day on TV for Chipotle, and both of us just looked at each other like, oh my gosh, why can't one be just a little bit closer to us?
Right. Yeah. My theory is Somerset, once we get a Target, Panda Express, and Chipotle, we're complete. Like we're done.
Oh yeah. I 100% agree with that. Yep.
We're done and we can just stop and celebrate. We don't have to
have a party in the street. Everybody will be happy.
We don't need to build any more businesses. We're done. It's perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
I like your mindset with that. Oh, one Ninja Turtle question I forgot. Favorite live action Turtles movie soundtrack?
Well, the only really meaningful soundtrack that I'm aware of is the second one with Vanilla Ice. So I think that's what they're fishing for.
That's exactly the one I was going to bring up. I don't know if I made the mistake or a proud dad moment and introduced my oldest to that. Right. I say mistake because then he made me listen to it on the way to daycare every week for about 6 weeks. And that song eventually wears on you.
I've not done that yet. I might try that with the voice this evening and see how it goes.
Your wife may end up mad at you, but it's understandable.
Possible.
Last couple of questions here. So what's maybe the last book, article / podcast that you read or listened to that was left an impact on you?
Ooh. Okay. So I wasn't prepared for that one. Let's see. So I'm, I'd like to have a really deep answer, but I'm a Joe Rogan guy. I like all the Joe Rogan stuff. I love the alternative history stuff a little more than I should admit. That is a lot of fun. But anything that's the Jordan Peterson stuff is pretty good. Yeah. He's about a year now, but some of the conversations he was having last year, I thought that was really good, meaningful stuff.
Yeah, both of those are very, very thought-provoking, very detailed.
Right.
Takes your mind almost different places. I don't know. I agree with you there. I like that. Right. Last question here. Love to win or hate to lose?
Love to win. Love to win. Love to win. Yeah. And, we're not perfect at that, but, you try to shake off the losses and not dwell on them and just concentrate on the wins and then think about the next win. So, yeah.
I like that. Approach. That's good.
It would be a better answer to be like, well, let's be truthful. We hate to lose. But I think, honestly, it's a love to win. Because I try to reflect sometimes on, all the little hurts, we've gotten over almost 9 years in business. But honestly, this town's been great to us. And we have very few little hurts, and they don't matter. So, anytime a project comes, we want it. And anytime we bid on something or we do a competition, we want those and you want to dominate them all. And, but we're really proud of our track record and the percentage we do get. So, try not to be toxic, and you love the ones you have.
I think that's a good segue here, because that kind of leads us more into learning a little bit more about you guys and your team there at Deco. So first, can you help catch me up for those that maybe don't know you, don't know Deco or your team? Can you give me a little bit of story about the kind of who, what, when, where, why origin story there?
Absolutely. So, we're 9 years now. So, and recently this year, we purchased our office. So that's been a fun little milestone for us, because we opened shop in Somerset. I actually started the business in Monticello in just a spare bedroom. So at that time, we didn't have the kid farm that we have now. So we had some extra rooms back then, and started it. And we did that for a couple of years. And that was more or less, let's get our confidence built, and let's make sure, there's a market for us, and let's make sure we're something people want. Because we felt like there's a hurdle in overcoming that. There's this mindset that to get architecture, we need to go to a big city, and that's where the good architects are. Let's go get them. Would anyone accept us actually being here at home and think that we're cool enough? Because there's a cool factor to being from out of town. And is there a cool factor to being in town? So anyway, we worked a couple years at home. It was just me by myself, just trying to get a footing. And then we moved to Somerset in 2014. And we rented this space on Old Monticello Street. It's the office. If you're ever going over the Martin Luther King Jr. Bridge and you look down, you see that big beige building. It says Mail Solutions across the top. Most people know that building. It's down here by the old tunnel into downtown. And back then, this was a business incubator that John Brainerd had set up. And you could come in and just rent just a little space for like a couple $100 a month. You could just have one room of this building. And that's how we started. So between that time and now, we moved out and we got a bigger space and we grew, and then circled back to John. I thought, I wondered if he would sell that. And we picked that up this year. So that's been a cool story, in that the place where we launched our storefront, 6 years ago, to get to circle back and buy that. And now we own it, and we own the whole space, has been kind of an achievement for us. And we're proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it
like that.
We bring people in. It's still a little dark, and the conference room is like painted mint green and beige. And so people come in and they're like, I thought you were an architect. Why did you use mint green and beige? But it's okay. And we're going to, once the bank account recovers a little bit, we're going to paint and remodel it and stuff. So we're excited.
That's really neat. I like that. Do you have any, and this is, I don't know, maybe I guess my design part of my mind thinking, do you have any pictures from when you very first started, when you rented that office? They kind of hang up almost as like a testament to what you guys have done so far.
We do. They're old cell phone pictures, but we just had that one room back then. So my grandpa and I took a weekend. So I was complaining about he only paid me $20 a week to be a 12-year-old helping him build decks. But, I've definitely got my payback, because we're always bothering him. Hey, come help me do this or do that. And so he came up and we painted, and, we put some wallboard on the walls and dressed it up. We have those photos of that room is now our print room. So it's
okay. Yeah.
Kind of a story. But anyway, bigger picture of Deco is we're trying to transcend, because we're 9 years old now. We're trying to transcend like the startup story, because it used to be our story. Oh, we just started with a Walmart Dell desktop and we were little, and do you kind of feel sorry for us, and aren't we cool? But we've transcended it. Now we're like a real thing. There are 11 of us. We split into 2 teams. So we have 2 project managers. We're very well organized. Everything isn't managed by me anymore. We actually have really good managers. And that has allowed us exponentially better. So we have David, who worked in Seattle, Chicago, Tampa, and he was doing Chinese skyscraper. Once a month, he did a skyscraper for China, and they put these competition books together, and they would send them to Chinese developers, and they would either say, yes, we're going to build that skyscraper, or no. And he did 12 a year. He was given like a threshold of, you need to sell 5 of these. So an incredible portfolio. And then he moved to Seattle, and he was working on like $6 million ocean homes. And he has one where he spent like 6, 8, 10 months just working on the kitchen. He would he'd do a prototype of a kitchen, say, "Do you like this?" And say, "No." "Okay." "Do you like this?" "No." "Okay." And it was just super high-end custom stuff. But he has roots in London, and I have roots in Monticello, and we have other people who have roots in Whitley City. We have people with roots in Somerset. And we came back and thought, I had always thought, well, Somerset's a great hub because you could attract, the whole pinwheel around.
Sure.
So you get the talent pulled in. So, on one hand, you say, well, it's not as cool as only Somerset people doing a thing, but I think it's cooler because you're a magnet and you're pulling all these talented folks.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's a very, very cool thing.
And you touched on some things there I want to go a little bit deeper on that were pretty interesting to me. I know, I guess maybe about around the time you were getting your master in architecture, you interned some, and I think you probably came on to work for Central Kentucky Design.
Yes.
I'm sure there's probably a certain level of maybe career and financial security involved with that and staying with that. So you coming back and starting your own firm, like you said, in a bedroom, took a tremendous leap of faith. So was there a timeline maybe in your head on paper, or maybe in your head but not on paper, that you said, hey, I'm going to try this for 12 months, try for 24 or 36, whatever it may be, and if this doesn't work, then I'm going to go back to plan B?
Well, my wife and I were married pretty early. We married, I was 19, she was 18, and we were just high school sweethearts. We just wanted to be married, but rather live with her than a bunch of dudes. So we got married young. And so we decided, well, let's live in Richmond, because she was going to do Eastern's teaching program, and she did it and got a master's and did that whole thing. And then I thought, I'll commute to UK. And then I picked up an internship in Berea. And so Richmond's right in the center of all that. So we worked in that radius and working all the interesting things around there. And then I was very lucky to get a job because I graduated in 2008, and that's when everything collapsed. So a lot of the Lexington firms weren't hiring. There were several Lexington firms that hung it up at that time, and firms everywhere. But I was looking at the Lexington market.
Sure.
So I was very blessed to get that job in Berea, and they were great folks and still are. We maintain a relationship. And so I'd like to have this story of I was really tough and I bucked the system and I started this thing and it was really hard and, everyone was against me, but that's not our story. The Berea folks were great and just realized I wanted to get home. So they did a thing where they would let me moonlight on some of their projects, and it kept my workload up while I built Deco. And that's a classy thing to do,
absolutely.
Man.
Yeah.
So that would be a hard thing for me to do for somebody, but that was classy. And I've always maintained those guys as mentors. And whenever I get stuck, I can make a phone call and, so it's been a great thing. But there really was not much of a backup plan. My backup plan for starting Deco is if this melts down and doesn't work, maybe I could teach at SCC. And maybe there'd be a demand for me there, but that position was filled, and then I was blessed that Deco did work, but I really didn't have a backup plan. So maybe that
had your blinders on and just went to it.
Right.
Yep. So, well, and something else when you were kind of talking about your all story there. So when I was it was either a freshman or sophomore in high school, we had a career day. Everybody, there were all the fields that you could think of were there. And so as a student, you got to pick 3 careers you wanted to go sit in on, hear their story, a little bit about how to get into the field, this, that, and the other. One I picked was architect, just because I did have that a little bit interest in building and designs. And now I kind of still get to do that in the boring insurance world as far as replacement cost and all that type of coverage. But something I remember him saying that stuck out to me was, you can't do this career in a small town. And I think you bucked that trend, and everyone on your team as well is a testament to that's false. What do you think has been, I guess, a couple of ways maybe to answer that? Sorry, I kind of lost my town here. A common theme that we hear about is for trying to get the young talent pool back here and to get them to say, hey, Somerset is a great place to live and work. I think this is a question you can maybe answer that's from your favorite employee, aka your wife.
Right.
How is having an architect here in Somerset an asset to both our city here in Somerset, but then surrounding cities as well? But then also, I guess, how can you apply that to being a testament to, hey, you don't have to go live and work in a big city?
Right. Okay. There's a lot there. So first thing I want to say is, do you know, I think you're maybe a bit younger than me, but do you know GoldenEye 007 came out for the N64? Like,
I cut my teeth on video games.
You didn't?
No, it's how I cut my teeth playing video games.
Okay.
That's yeah.
So people around our demographic should know that game. It was a James Bond game for the Nintendo 64. And, you know, that was my early teenage years. It was everything. But it's regarded as one of the greatest video games of all time. It brought first-person shooters to consoles. It was amazing. Yep. And you could replay that. And the point of bringing that up is there were interviews with that staff, and they said, you know, why did you like do this thing that was so different and it was amazing? And, you know, and they said, well, we were naive. We were just completely stupid about biting off way more than we could chew, but we didn't know any better. And so then we got so deep into it that we just had to make it work. And so there were all-nighters and there were blood, sweat, and tears, but we were just young and we locked in and we did it. So I think that's the story like we want. And I don't know, it's somewhat accurate. It's not quite as cool as GoldenEye, but it wasn't that we came back and did a market study and, you know, hired a feasibility folks to come in and tell us it would work or whatever. It was kind of that like necessity of, I have this degree and license and I need to use it, but I want to be home. Mm-hmm. And then we were just surprised there's a great market here. You know, it's not boundless. We don't need half a dozen architecture firms, but, you know, there's a good place for an architecture firm here. And we think we're very useful for the community. And we've kind of reached this new plateau in that folks are using us to recruit things here, which is really fun. And I think awesome. The first time we really got to be a part of that and nail it was with the VA, because that VA development was looking in Georgia. They were looking.
Oh wow!
It wasn't just looking at this area. They were looking at states and saying, where could we develop one that would have the most impact? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we don't get that credit. We were just like this little piece of it, but it was cool that someone had that vision. And lined everything up and said, hey, let's get a plan and a rendering. It'll help us. Yeah. And then honestly, that job came to us, and I was out that morning at a meeting and I came back in, and I think it was Ryan was with us back then. And he said, hey, you know, Roger Thompson at Owens Construction came in. He dropped you a pile of stuff, something about a VA. And we thought, no, you know, this is a 26,000 square foot project. This isn't coming here. But now to be a couple of years past that and looking back, wow, that was an amazing thing. But we like to be that recruiting mechanism, you know, to bring things to town. That's really what gets me excited these days.
Well, I think, like I said, it's just a testament to not only have you been able to be successful, but it's not just you anymore. There's, like you said, there's 11 of you all there. And that doesn't just happen overnight. Right. It doesn't happen just by pure stroke of luck. I mean, that's a testament to the hard work and dedication you guys have put to really loving the community back. And that's what you all do.
Right.
What would you think, or what would you say is maybe the most common misconception about what you all do? Or maybe what's one thing about your profession people don't know?
Okay. Number one thing is people do not understand architect versus engineer. And that's the number one thing. And architecture is confusing. When I went to architecture school, your very first class is like history, architecture history. And I think it was like 101 or 111 or whatever. And the first lecture is about what is an architect. And it's like this big transcendental thing. And we debated it for an hour. And it's like, well, that's fun, but actually it's not that complicated. We're professional building designers. That's what an architect is. Engineers are a bit different in that they're more, and there's engineers probably going to listen to this and they're going to come down on me or whatever. But the way I look at it is your architect is your general practitioner of building design. And then your engineers are your specialists. So like I can take, they're smarter than us, but they're more focused. So if you have your architect and just let that person build the entire vision and the entire plan package and let them radiate engineers that are specialists, depending on what that project needs. So we work very closely with a structural engineer out of London named Logan Sams. He's a good friend of mine, kind of a peer business owner. And but whenever structure's over my head, then we pull him in. Whenever HVAC gets over my head, we'll pull in a mechanical engineer. But let us kind of be the central manager to kind of put the vision out and to make sure everything coordinates.
But I think that brings up a couple of good follow-up questions. These were actually two from Sean Fry. His question was, do all of your designs work in real world applications? Meaning something like, hey, it looks good on paper, but maybe the actual feasibility of it and practicality of it, maybe it's not actually going to work on the building part. And I think you kind of answered that a little bit there.
Right. So the biggest thing, so I hoped one of your questions is like, what's the biggest challenge for architects? And to answer the previous question,
sure,
the biggest challenge is that we need to take things through a process.
Right.
And it's hard to hook an owner and say, look, we need X amount of fee. We need X amount of weeks or months to work on this because we need to like cast a vision. And then we need to develop that into something that we think works. And then we need to prove that it works. And a lot of times what happens is, no, we don't want, let's just spend a week on it. And so then we do the vision casting part. And then you throw those renderings and that idea out. And if you go try to build those, then no, a lot of times they don't work. But as long as we get hired, you do the full project, you permit it, you do actual construction drawings, then yes, they should work. Now, do you have challenges every once in a while? Of course you do. But
sure.
We've overcome a lot of that in that we've moved away from two-dimensional drafting and into three-dimensional modeling. So the most sinister thing used to be that you would draw a project two-dimensionally. And so you draw a floor plan and then you draw elevations of it, which is what the outside looks like. Mm-hmm. And then if you have a complicated roof, you can lie on those drawings and make it look like it works, but it doesn't. And sometimes you don't even lie. It's just difficult because if you have a lot of gables and a very complicated roof, that's a lot of brain power to make sure that it works when you're drawing it that way. But once we move to modeling, it very much reduced that risk. So now if something busts, it's usually something smaller, like, we were going to put metal siding on, we ordered too light a gauge and it oil canned. It's stuff like that. It's not that the architect designed a 4-story building and it's going to collapse because he's a goofball. It's more like there's a little technical issue. Can you help us?
So what you're saying is 8-year-old me that used to draw out buildings and home stuff on my graph paper and just said, hey, go build this. It doesn't work that way. Or that's not that's not the ideal way. It's not going to work out as well as you hope if that's what you as a paying customer comes in to get.
Absolutely. So as the pitch to a paying customer is if you hire us to do your school, then yes, it's going to work. And if you have a problem, just call me. I will be there and it is going to work and we will figure it out. And we're going to try to avoid it being a change order. But from a kind of like philosophy of a firm standpoint, you don't want to be so safe that everything you do is just boring. And then what's the point?
Right.
If every building you do is a pre-engineered beige metal siding, then you don't need me. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are firms that only do the visionary stuff. So like when they did Rupp Arena, they pulled in, a high-end out-of-state designer to cast a vision. And none of that stuff worked. Then they hired a local firm to develop it and make it work. And so there's a spectrum there of you can be just completely safe, don't do anything, or you can be so off in the clouds that you're bordering on not being an architect anymore. You're kind of in the art realm.
Yeah.
And So there's a balance somewhere in the middle.
How would you say, especially probably over the last 10 years, has the rise of like these of HGTV and these DIY networks, has that made your job easier or more difficult?
Sometimes we say that Joanna Gaines is the bane of our existence. Here's the problem. Actually, it's not so bad. I like that people are excited and they have ideas and they kind of know what they want. That's fun. Yeah. The one that irks me are the Property Brothers, because there's the two brothers. And what happens is the one brother, both brothers will be like in the kitchen talking to the family, and they'll come up with a scheme and they'll say, okay, we'll be right back. And the one brother will run to the car and pull out an iPad. And then they'll put the cameraman in the car with them. And he says, I'm just going to get these plans put together real quick. And he'll be in the car with an iPad, and he'll come up and he'll come back in with renderings and fly-through videos that took hundreds of hours. But in that video, or in the 30-minute episode, it's just like he snapped his fingers, 15 minutes, he had a vision, and it's all come together. Then they come back in the kitchen and they present it on the iPad. Look at this video. This is what your kitchen's going to look like. And that's frustrating, because then people expect that. And then the other thing, though, to
our going through a fast food drive-through, right? I just come through the drive-through, say, hey, this is what I want, pull around, and it's ready.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. But on the other hand, where we're better than those shows is for drama. Once they start demolition, they always say, oh, this was a load-bearing wall. What are we going to do? And then they'll go to commercial break, because then you're like, oh, no, they blew it. What are they going to do? And that's part of the show. But in real life, we identify those things. You can walk around a point and identify. It's just part of the show that happens.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If someone was in my house doing some demo work and they surprisingly found a load-bearing wall, I'd be very concerned about who I just hired.
But it happens almost every episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then Chip and Joanna will argue about it. Like, this ruins everything. But then they scored it every time. So it's amazing.
It's kind of like the shows we grew up on, like Full House and Family Matters. Everybody just hugs and is in a happy mood at the end of every show.
Exactly. Same thing.
Talking about some projects now, what has been probably the most rewarding? You may have already hinted at, but what's been the most rewarding project you've been a part of?
Okay. Well, we talked VA, so we won't bring that one up again, but that one's up there.
Oh, yeah.
First Christian Church in Monticello will always be a huge soft spot for me. That one, so we've worked there 3 times. The first one was their 4-year renovation, and that was our very first project. I was still waiting for, we hadn't organized the firm yet. And that project did not require a licensed architect. So in my defense, if anybody wants to turn me into the board or something, it's small enough that a designer was okay. And, but I was waiting on my license to come to me in the mail, and they called. And so that was amazing, because that was like tip of the iceberg first project.
Absolutely.
All we did is we took out this wall. It was what happens with these churches a lot of times is, their foyers are too small. So you go into a service, and then once you get out, you're in this congested foyer, and then people are more apt to leave. And they don't feel that welcome feeling that, that churches are looking for. So we took an office, blew it out, put a graphic on the wall, redid the finishes, painted it, new lighting, and got them that new foyer. And so that was 2012. And then 2014-ish, we came back and did their sanctuary, which was an amazing project for us at that time. That was like a new scale. We hit a new plateau when we got to do that, because it was a 100-year-old sanctuary.
Wow.
And that was a really cool project. And they gave me a little bit of a leash. I got to do this cool light thing behind the pulpit. So you have colored light, and it kind of shines up and makes an effect. And you can change the color based on
nice
message, or if you want to do fire and brimstone, you can go red. But then I guess it was about 2018, we kicked off the big addition to the church, and got a little bit of a leash on that one too. And we did a big light installation on the outside. And we think that was awesome that we got to do that in Monticello.
Oh yeah.
But that one will always be a soft spot for me. And some of the folks from that church are a big reason of why I'm back, at least as quickly as I came back, because I plan to be in Richmond another 5 years or so.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. One project of yours that I'll give my personal favorite is Conley Bottom.
Right.
And so my family keeps their boat down there. So I mean, we were down there 2 nights before it burned. I woke up. I remember I got up like 5 o'clock that morning that it was on fire. Natural bad habit. Checked Facebook, saw that, and obviously the motions to go with that. And then now to continue getting to go down there throughout the summer, especially during COVID, it's about the only thing you can do. And just seeing piece by piece what that is, from the pictures that you all first posted to what it's becoming now. And of course, now they're starting the next phase of it as well with the restaurant part. It's been really remarkable to watch.
Right. So, yeah, you know about the next phase coming, but that's what I was going to mention. That one's still in process. So I'm supposed to they needed to get a little bit of summer income to keep that monster of a business going. So we hustled to get the store kind of the shell up so that they could get enough of a temporary certificate of occupancy to get the store open. And so they operated the store. They're going to shut it back down, I believe, November 1st. And then we're going to finish it. So what you've seen so far is not done. So don't be alarmed.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to finish it. And then the restaurant will be under construction this winter. So if people have seen our rendering, there's a certain mass and it balances in a certain way. And then you go down there and see it. And it's like, well, that's not quite what I saw, but it's not done yet. There's an additional mass that's going to go on the end of it. That will complete it. And we can't wait. So I'm actually supposed to go see Fred later this week.
Oh, nice.
And get that ball rolling again.
I know we did our best to help keep them afloat in ice cream purchases all summer. We did our best to supplement that for them. Absolutely.
Yeah. My favorite thing is the feeding the animals. You can feed the ducks, feed the turtles, carp. And, they don't make any money off that, but that is a magnet that just gets us down there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hit the ice cream, and we want the restaurant back so we can get into super fries again. If you've not had super fries, it's life-changing. Yeah,
we had a steady diet of pizza and ice cream all summer down there. So it was nice. I'll try and get to a few more questions here. May just have to have you on again. I want to be a good steward every time here.
Great.
We'll run through a few more. What would be, so if you got to just lay out and say, hey, this is my dream project, I would love to be the one that designed this, that was the creator behind this, what would that be? I guess if you could wave a magic wand and say, this is what I'd love to design, what would that be?
Schools. Schools is what we are built to do. So we have built the firm in a certain way and organized in a certain way and kind of built our expertise because we want to do schools. And, we've had a few opportunities. We had a really nice one with Science Hill. Worked with Jimmy Diehouse there, and he's awesome. Yeah. And so we did a little work for them. And then we've done some work in Wayne County, my home. And Wayne down there is awesome and gave us a chance. That was one of the bigger projects we've ever had, is a big renovation to the Monticello Elementary School down there. But that's what we want to do. And someday, if you're talking dream project, and I know people want you want to do the shrine to John Calipari, or you want to do a tower or whatever. And we absolutely. But we would love to do a new build school, which is a rare thing to do because those opportunities don't come every day.
Right.
But my wife, as you know, is a teacher. She was a very good teacher. She was the one that people requested and they wanted in a room, and we poached her and got her in here with us. So we have that talent. She knows how to talk to superintendents and speak their language. She knows how to work with KDE and speak that language. And she kind of does all the red tape cutting so that we can design buildings.
My wife's started off in elementary ed. Now she's a guidance counselor. And I think her school speak, and her school language to me is probably about like my insurance language to her. We both kind of speak a different language. So I know exactly what you mean about your wife having the school language and being able to talk there with them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a different thing. So,
oh yeah. Talking about building your practice to set up for schools, how was that something that's kind of always in your mind, something you always wanted to do, or how did you go about, I guess, kind of creating and molding those roles of the people you brought into your office to say, hey, this is kind of where we want to shift our focus or shift our expertise to?
Right. Yes. We had a 10-year goal when we started. So it started in 2012, and we said in 10 years, let's get into a school. And we did that. We did it. We started in December of 2018, but last year started construction. So we have a few that are punch listing and are this close to being complete. And then we have one that is just in the middle of construction. So we met that goal. So that was a kind of a milestone for us. But for architects, you kind of have these like tiers of service. So you can do the basic permit stuff that's on one hand. And then on the far hand is like full service, where you have spec writers and you have very intense hundreds of sheet plan sets. And it took us some time to grow into that. That's not something that me in my spare bedroom is going to do at a high level, because it takes manpower and it takes, another layer of talent. And so I'm proud that we've built in that direction. So a couple of things we've done is we brought my wife in. We brought a guy named Chris Phillips in, who's no relation. But we were able to pull him from Lexington. He was working at an interiors firm who was doing cabinetry and interior work for Alltech, Churchill Downs.
Oh, wow.
Big entities. Yeah. And we have that right here. So
that's awesome.
So that's, kind of our head of writing specifications, making sure our details are good. And we can do casework, because that's a lot of what those projects end up being. We can do a lot of that in-house. And then in conjunction with him, we have Ryan. His name's Ryan Warren. We initially pulled him from Bowling Green, but he worked in Washington, D.C. Did a stint there in Washington, and he was doing really high-end work. He was working for the military, the Navy, doing Navy work. And so once you can work in Washington doing work for the Navy, then you can come back here and do schools, because you've learned how to wallow through the bureaucracy and the paperwork. And he's excellent. And then we just have an outstanding team to supplement that. Jason is a master water plant operator, and then works here. So knows how every valve in a water plant works. You can take him a cup of water and say, something wrong with my water, and he'll tell you what it is. And so he is our plumbing expert. And that's kind of what we've done, is as we see someone with an expertise, like, we weren't really looking for cabinet professional or a water professional, but actually that's pretty great. I wonder if they would come on with us. And so it took us some time, but now we have tentacles to us, and we think we're just as good as anybody. And we're happy to offer it right here in Somerset.
Exactly. Well, and I think everything you said there just adds to the question about where I asked you, what's the biggest misconception, where the general public probably just thinks, hey, they're just a group of people that draw on graph paper and sketch out on a computer and say, hey, here's what a house looks like. But I think it's incredibly important to the value you can provide when you have someone that's an expertise in several different areas of the actual building process. And that way you're able to pull in each person to make everything fit together that much better and to work that much better, both for the builder and the end user.
Right. And we've retained some really cool people that I don't know, some of them would be here, but, I don't know if all of us would be here. And that's a cool thing. So, I always wanted to be perceived as the greatest building designer, big visionary, super cool person, but that's not, and it's really painful. And I've struggled with this, and I've moped on the car ride home. But I'm not that anymore. I did a lot of the designs you saw in the early years were me, but now they're not. It's like this super group of people we've put together, and then I'm stuck in firefighting and management. So, but that, I didn't really expect that to be what my story is at Deco, but it's pretty cool that we played a role in keeping talent and attracting talent. Yeah. And we're not a major employer. We're talking about, 11 people total, including myself and my wife. So it's not like, well, we brought 500 great people back and we like revitalized the economy. But we're doing a little cool thing. And I think, I don't know, there's something to that.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I think it's a lot more than a little cool thing. But speaking about like the people you've been able to retain and the people you brought in, I think that has to speak a lot to the culture you guys have there in the office. How would you, I guess, maybe describe that, or maybe what works well? What's maybe something that you tried and didn't work? How would you go about that?
Okay. Well, so we hate to like sound unprofessional and say, well, we're still figuring it out, but it's kind of been
every business is though, right?
It's been like a natural thing. So we were in an office space, and there were two of us, and so I don't want him to be in a room and I'm in a room, and because that's not great that we're like compartmentalized. So we said we're going to be in the room together. So we sat in the room together, and then we grew to a 3-person thing and then a 4-person thing. And it's like, well, when you get person 3, you don't want to put him in a room to himself. So he'll be in here with us. And so we just kind of naturally, because we're building from 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, let's all be in the same room. And that's good. Honestly, it's amazing. There are a few drawbacks to it. Like sometimes you need to run out and take a phone call or whatever. But we've like built a lot of camaraderie around that. Mm-hmm. So we would play games of like, okay, today's a hard court. Let's meet a deadline day. We all just need to buckle in and draft. So we're going to do this thing called music roulette. Jason, you go first, play a song, and then I'm going to play a song, and then Pilo's going to play a song, and then Ryan's going to play a song, and then we shuffle. And so, there were just a lot of good memories like that. Like you're building your camaraderie and finding overlaps and places you don't overlap, and you're arguing about it. And having a little bit of, because this profession is very high pressure. Yeah. So if you can take the tension off just a little bit, because it's constant deadlines, people calling you, pushing, hey, there's this great opportunity coming to town. Can you drop everything and like do it? So you need like trying to find that way of like, we're all in this together. And if there's any way we can take a little pressure off, that's a positive. And you need buy-in from everybody, because if not, all the pressure goes to one person. Yeah. And so, but as we've grown, now we're, 11 people in a room, it's a little harder. So we've moved more to headphones. And, as we think about remodeling this space, we might like to get back to kind of capturing that magic of maybe teams, maybe only 4 people are in the room, and we're back to like that. It works at a certain scale. Right. But we like, we use the term cross-pollination a lot. So if I need to know something about plumbing, I go ask Jason. If I need to know something about a rendering, it's David. And we have like nodes of expertise, and it's really nice that you can cross-pollinate and all be in the same room and you're not in compartments. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that does absolutely help to your all's team aspect there, and be able to push through some projects like that as well. I think one way too to help take the pressure off would probably just be to throw on Vanilla Ice Go Ninja at some time, just randomly. We might try it. Yeah, I may throw a clip of that on here on the podcast, and I don't know, I'll make it in some copyright issues if I do that. He may come hunting for me. It'd be worth it. Oh yeah. What we'll go through a few more here, and then we'll get this wrapped up. I'll try and make this maybe your last tough question. What is, other than your 4 boys, what is the one thing I guess that keeps you up at night? Oh, keeps me up at night. Well, it's this firm, and this year's been wild. So it's been wild for everybody, and everybody's going through this, and it's bizarre.
Yeah.
And you can't win because the country's kind of split in half. So it's, should we be conservative with this, or should we just go back to it and see what happens? And, you can't really take a stance because the country's split right down the middle. So whichever one you pick is the wrong one. So the whole COVID thing really threw a monkey wrench into our year. And we've been blessed in that, we haven't laid anybody off, and we've gotten through it. But the year's been completely different than expected, because we had kind of set some foundations last year from a business standpoint that we expected to come through this year, and then they didn't because, brakes have been pumped and circumstances have changed. And then what happened to us is we got flooded in residential work, and which is great, and we're doing it, and we're trying to do a great job, and we think we're good at it. But the market just shifted because of, residential interest rates are down. Business leaders are wary of COVID, so don't want to do big moves right now. Schools are a little tentative right now because, superintendents are more focused on the students and navigating COVID, so they're not so worried about building projects. So that stuff has kind of been what's had me grinding gears at night this year. But we've been blessed, and we think we're coming out on the other side of it from a business standpoint.
What, I guess in a normal year, what is your all's business makeup as far as residential versus commercial type work?
We have to, for our professional liability policy, as we have to answer that question. And my wife always does it.
You can just spitball it for me. It's not a big deal.
Spitball. So I don't know, a good mix. Let's say right now we have a really nice trophy public project. So if you just did numbers, if you said, because the smaller project could come and go quicker, but the bigger one may stay a year or so.
Right.
But we just felt like the weight of the office. It feels like if we put schools and public in a bundle, that feels like about half of our work. And then maybe commercial is 30%, residential is the other 20.
Gotcha. Okay.
Something like that.
Mix. Yeah.
So it's something like that, fuzzy man. But
facts are optional on this show.
They are. Absolutely.
Is there anything else maybe that you'd like listeners to know, maybe about Deco, maybe about how to do business with you all, anything of that mindset?
I don't know. So if architecture is hard because it feels like, much like COVID, in that you can't get the answer right because you can only make one side happy or the other side happy.
Right.
Architecture is kind of like that. It's like, are you going to make the decision that's most profitable, or are you going to make the decision that's the most beneficial for your community? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to do the thing that's going to win you an award from, like the higher ups of architecture?
Right.
And those three things are really hard to remedy. And the one I'm proud of that we've tried to stay focused on is the community side. So we really just want to be an asset. And I'm a really soft business person to deal with when it comes to, let's recruit the next great factory. Yeah. We have an industrial tenant. They're looking at Somerset. We need something. Can you help us? Yes. I don't care. I don't care about the money. Yes. So we would like to be, fellow business owners, fellow folks, developers. We would like to be in your pocket for that stuff, whether it plays out in our favor or not. That's kind of what we're here to do from a community building standpoint.
And I think that's a big testament to the success you guys have had too. Is like you said, it's not about the money. It's kind of like the rising tide, right? Mm-hmm. Raises all ships. And so that's your all's end go to is it's finding that good balance of how can we kind of satisfy internally, externally for awards. It's kind of finding that good mix of, hey, what's the best end result here? But like you said too, just being willing to help out your community and just being kind of there available at the drop of a hat.
Right.
I know one of the more recent projects you guys have announced too, and I saw a construction sign for it, I think yesterday, with Tropical Smoothie Cafe coming into town. Obviously, that was a big, exciting announcement to drop.
It was, so let's talk our hottest Facebook posts ever. Number one is Conley Bottom.
Sure.
Because we dropped that one and we knew it was going to be kind of big, but you get the whole state of Ohio when you talk about
oh yeah,
when you talk about Conley Bottom. So though that put some numbers out like we had never seen. It got like close to 50,000 interactions or 50,000 people or whatever. Yeah. The little thermometer at the bottom. But we're comparing it to other numbers. We're like, whoa, this is a different level. Yeah. But we dropped the tropical smoothie thing. And we thought, it's a nice project. We like it. We love a new restaurant in Somerset. We're all about it. We were astounded at the following. It was right there behind Conley Bottom.
That's incredible.
In the interest for that project.
Yeah.
So I just kind of looked at the developer and said, well, I think you have something. The interest is there.
No doubt.
So.
Yeah, I always appreciate the kind of, tea leaves you guys kind of drop of work that's working on that can't be announced yet. That's always fun to just kind of follow along in your all's journey there.
Yeah, so I thought that might be a question. I thought someone might ask, hey, what's the next hot thing? Whatever, and we've got a couple, but we can't talk about them. But our trophy at the moment that is public is Miller Park in Corbin.
Yeah, really, I saw that on your all's website. That's incredible looking.
I think, and no offense to David, because he did a good job, and no offense to Pilo, Alan, Chris, folks that worked on it, but that project, when it's built, is going to be nicer than what we've promoted. It's going to be better than the images. And that, and sometimes contractors are rag us for that. There's a contractor named Jeffrey Smith in Monticello, and he got done with First Christian Church, and he kind of like shoved an elbow into my rib, and he said, "It looks better than your rendering."
That's a typical builder comment, isn't it?
I said, "Good. That's great. Absolutely. That's better than the opposite." But anyway, back to projects coming. The next thing that's exciting to us is we have a project on UK's campus.
Nice.
And it's not just like a little thing. It's a proper new build, biggest project in the office at the moment type thing. So that's exciting for us. And we'll announce more when we're released. And then there's a nice development coming to Monticello that I can't talk about yet, but that we're very excited and under contract for. And there's some really exciting things in Somerset that are brewing, but I can't even hint, because if I do, everyone will know what I'm talking about.
Well, we'll just have to have you on again, maybe for an announcement episode.
Maybe.
That'll work.
No.
Well, Derek, I want to be a good steward of your time. We've probably gone. This is probably the longest recording we've had, but I've hated I've loved the way the conversations flowed. I've loved learning so much about your profession, about Deco, about what you guys do and offer here in the community, and the services you guys can provide. What's the best way for someone, if they want to maybe reach out to you with questions about getting started in your career, or then on the other side, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you if they are interested in your services?
Sure. So we have always been blessed to be busy and haven't given our website the time that it needs. So we have Jessica Harding come from Bowling Green and joined us, and she's incredible. So she we said, build us a website and let's soft launch it. And she did it all by herself and soft launched it. She said, okay, you check the text and redline it. I'll fix it and we'll be done. And then, so the ball got pushed to me, and then this year's kind of eaten me and I haven't gotten to it. So the website remember, it's a soft launch and we need to work on it a little more. The way we like you to see us is on Facebook, because it's fresh information and we update it. So that's how we prefer.
I'll be sure to link that everywhere in the show. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then for young people that are interested in the profession, or we've gotten quite a bit of that actually, and we like it. And anytime someone asks me for that, I just say, if it's it's like a high schooler thinking about going to college, or if you're kind of in that demographic, grab a parent and schedule an hour with me and come in, and we'll sit and we'll just talk. Because I think weighing your career is a heavy thing, and you should think about it. And I like, on one hand, we want to give the magical, here's architecture, and it's about this and it's about that. But we also kind of want, no, here's actually some things you should know,
Yeah.
And so we love to do that. And, kind of like how I just ramble on this show. If you get me, in the conference room for an hour talking about your career, I will ramble for an hour, and I think I can help split some fog. So we're happy to do that. Just send us a message on Facebook or call the office line. We'll schedule it.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Like I said, again, really appreciated our conversation. I'm going to link the Facebook page and the show notes, whether it's on social media if you're watching this, or in the audio, and on the show notes there at the bottom of the Facebook page with the website linked in there. We'll put that below the Facebook page, so you go to the Facebook page first. Like I said, I appreciate your time with this. I can't wait to hear and follow along with our journey, again, like their Facebook page, so you can kind of follow some tea leaves and get to stay up to date on the latest announcements from Deco. And just be sure to thank them, support them. And Derek, appreciate your time, man.
Adam, thank you, sir. This is a really nice thing you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Honored to be a part of it. Really appreciate you.